Hey folks, welcome to Sneak Peek Design. In this episode, we have Henry, who is going to give an in-depth look into the Figma file for Perplexity AI.
I like to work in a very specific way. I don't make pixel perfect mockups and I like to write code. So that means that when I'm creating something, I usually just do, I would say the equivalent of a napkin sketch. Sometimes I will actually literally sketch, but I think at this point, prefer to just do it in Figma. But I do this just to get my head around what we're actually doing and why. I like working like this because it's not really about UI at this stage. It's about the mechanics. How does this work? And why is it going to be valuable? We can figure the UI out.
Makes sense.
Yeah, it'll come. But the hardest decision is like, how does it work this way? What's technically possible? And let's just get it. Yeah, let's just get it working and try it. And then if it feels good, then we'll polish it later. That's how I like to work. I work very iteratively. I like to take things and I want to live in them as soon as possible because that's when you really know whether it's the right thing. And even before this, usually I'll write a document. I've always worked in companies that have a writing culture where it helps you formulate your vision and things that I think are best represented with language and not visuals. Because often I think visuals at that early stage can be rabbit hole like that you fall into. You get too worked up on even specific features before you are thinking through the mechanics or even like what the point is of this feature. So once I have some plan and a justification for even thinking about this problem, then I'll start to use visuals in the most low fidelity possible just to communicate and have like the thing to look at when talking with the people that I'm building it with. And so in this case, we knew that we wanted to have some kind of back and forth interaction between you and the AI. And we also knew that it was going to be slow because it was doing a lot of work. Now, slow in the context of the moment, but compared to actually going and doing all this research as a human, loading all these websites, scrolling through, whatever, it's still like way faster than that. But we still had to make this experience feel pretty good. And so the first version in my mind was presenting this as a really nice loading experience. Like you've put something in and now you just need to stare at it while it does something. And so it should feel like a nice loading experience. And so it reminds me of a very early software design, especially in like video games where things would like just took forever to load. So then they had to come up with clever things. But once we built that, we had to think about how do we just show as much as possible because just staring at like a loading screen is actually not a good experience. And so are there ways to then break that out into something actually valuable to look at? So the first version was this like just loading screen. We're just going to update you on what it's doing, but it would feel like fake. Eventually, of course, we wanted to get to the point where it would come back and surprise you with, hey, I understood exactly what you're looking for. And now I'm going to ask you questions back. That was the magical moment we wanted to get to. And we just had to figure out the right way to make the loading experience enjoyable. The alternate version was this in this little mockup. You can see it's meant to feel like a timeline. And again, it's just a loading experience. But what's cool is we found ways to expose a dynamic information. So it's not just like you're reading the same loading indicator every time. We're able to expose like what it's actually doing, which makes it feel like totally different. If it just said like loading one way, but the very specific detail here is that it actually shows you a real thing that it's doing in response to what you just said. So if you say, help me plan a Tokyo trip, it'll show you all the searches it's actually running that are like an expansion of what you just typed in. So it makes it feel like totally different, even though again, it's just loading.
It's exposing the inner working details, like the expensive watches that actually show you they're transparent and show you
Yeah.
the inner mechanics that are working behind the clock.
Yeah. The reason why I think this is important is because it establishes like quite a lot of trust really fast. At the moment, I think of surprise, where you wrote the search query and then it took what you said, it clearly understood it, and then wrote 5 more search queries expanding off of what you just said. That's the first moment of surprise. And so the whole sort of experience of this product should be a cascade of surprises, hopefully ending with you seeing something really useful for you. So the first surprise is it understands what you said because it starts writing real good search queries. And the second thing is that it starts to show you websites that are relevant. I'm looking at these real sources, and these were probably the things that you would have found on Google anyways, but I found them faster. And then I read through all of them instantly. So that's the second surprise. And then the final one, which comes up only when necessary, is it'll ask you questions back if like that are dynamically generated. So no matter what you're asking, it'll figure it out. And so there's times when it surprises me with how smart it is. Like I was testing it on picking skis, which is like a very niche shopping experience. There's very specific details to picking skis. And it responded back with the type of question that if you went into a ski shop, that expert that works there would ask you those questions, like about what style of skier you are and what type of snow you're skiing on. It just figured it out and asked me those questions back. And of course, that would be seriously helpful for me shopping for skis. So then the final thing is we want to just show you the thing that you came for. You want to read that information.
So from here, where would you go? Like after this next phase?
So from here, we started building it.
Oh my God.
This is it. This is all we started with.
Wow. So can you show us like how you just edit this in code or built it in code?
So this is a version of Perplexity that I'm working on. A very specific detail that I was toying around with is a different way to indicate what tab that you're on.
Yeah.
So when you switch tabs, we want to show you where you are. Very simple. And when you're solving these kind of UI details in Figma, you're just trying a variety of things. My process is exactly the same. It's just that I like to work in code. Right now, I've got this little dot on the side. Right now, it's black. So I don't know, maybe we can explore if it was blue. So I can show you that I would just change this. And then all of a sudden it's blue.
Yep.
Maybe I want it on the right side. And so now it's over there. One thing I was like debating is maybe it shouldn't be a dot. Maybe it should
like a
be
bar.
yeah, like a bar on the right, on the side. So like that. Let's see. Oh, that's
Oh,
not nice.
yes. Oh my God.
It's not in the right spot. And it's probably a little bit too thick. We can put it like that. It doesn't look very good as blue, so I think I'm going to go back to black.
Yes, black does look better.
That's the kind of thing where I like to fiddle around with the details. I care a lot about every little piece of it. I benefit, I think, quite a lot from the precision of code. And then I also benefit tremendously from when I get it to a point where I'm happy with it, I just push it and it's out on the site and we're done. There's no further process. There's no getting it right and then kicking off the engineering process or finding the time in the roadmap to slot these little details. If I find something that could be better, I just go make time for it and start working on it. It's very empowering, especially if you care about details. I remember it when I worked at Gmail, there was like on the login input field, the focus state of the input, it had the really weird shadow and it just drove me crazy. And I wanted to fix it. But of course, at Google, I wasn't allowed to code, or it would have been a tremendous effort to get it in the code and into Google as a designer. And it just bothered me. As someone who's just always done a million projects and side projects, I like having that control and getting to, if I want something to be really nice and slick, I get to do that. And I find that really comes to play with details and hover states and animations. And not everything I'm doing is like perfect or the best in the world, but at least I get to put it together myself. And it's like really rewarding.
Mind blowing. Thank you. Thank you so much, Henry, for giving us behind the scenes look at how you design Perplexity AI. Thank you. Hey, this is Jay. It means the world to me that you watched this video. If you want to unlock the AI design and growth design interviews with designers at some of the top companies in the world, then head on over to sneakpeek.design and subscribe to the newsletter.